Hi empaths, welcome to Heart Space Wellness Alliance. Here's my healing room. Let's get started. Hi empaths, welcome back to another reading. I'm going to use some Tibetan tinctures to clear the space. Invoke angels, guides, compassionate ancestors, any beings of the light who want to inform this reading for the most concise, helpful, valuable, enlightening, empowering reading for priority that the listener needs to hear at this time. I love that. So nice. I just want to say thank you to everybody who's subscribed and liked the videos. That's great feedback for me. Even if you don't have time to leave a comment, even if you don't have the resources to have a personal session or to donate to the channel, the feedback is really helpful for me. It makes me feel like what I'm doing is worthwhile. So if that's all you're able to do, I'm so grateful for that. Additional thank you to the people that have reached out and given me really detailed feedback and let me know that I'm on target here. You have no idea how valuable that is for somebody who's starting out and wanting to do good work. Thank you to anyone who has become a personal client. I'm always amazed at the strong people out there who are making a difference, and it's an honor to connect with you. Thank you for that. You're bringing value into my life, so thank you. And thank you to those who are donating to the channel. That energy exchange helps sustain. It helps me keep going. So thank you. I really hope I'm bringing value to you here. Let's go ahead, pick an angel card, angel oracle card. See what we're doing. Oh, acceptance. Acceptance, right? This is a state of allowing ourselves to be exactly who we are, accepting who we are, accepting our strengths so that we can put our areas that are in need of growth in their proper order, and not feel overwhelmed by that. Acceptance of reality, what is, how others are, and how they have decided to show up, not needing to control, but being able to put boundaries around our resources, right? Acceptance, powerful place to be. If you're able to accept reality, you're in a very powerful place. I'm being called to the Ascended Masters deck by Doreen Virtue. See what about acceptance is coming up. What about acceptance? Any more information about acceptance? Any specifics? What we're looking at here as far as acceptance from the Ascended Masters Oracle deck. Okay. So trust is the first card that comes out. Trust. What's an area, what's the first area that comes to mind when you think of having a challenge in trusting? Trusting what's to come, trusting in divine order, trusting in divine timing. What's an area where you feel like you need to push the river, right? What's an area where it's very difficult for you to lean back and see what's coming? Very difficult for you to see what's happening and put it into perspective. An area where maybe there's some cognitive dissonance and you refuse to see reality. We do that often in relationships, especially when we have this notion that we need the person, right? It's very hard. Or if we paint the picture, this ideal picture of this is the one, we have a lot of, it's a huge challenge to put into perspective who they really are and that they're human, right? Those are the areas in ourselves that we haven't quite owned completely, and we still see them distorted, right? It's a distortion in perception. So we see it inflated in somebody else. So because we aren't seeing and acknowledging it in ourselves. And it's beautiful, the design, right? That design of our ability to see those reflections outside of us so we can do the inner work. If we can accept that that's the way reality is, accept it for what it is, that it's all for our growth and learning, it'll be easier for us to have a growth mindset and see that this isn't just a defect in me, this is an opportunity to grow. Nobody's perfect. Nobody has all the answers. Nobody has it all together all the time. We all have room for growth, no matter what level we're at, right? We all have room for growth. We're all in the same boat there. Some people are less aware that they have accountability, and some people are shouldering more of it. But for those of us who identify as the giver or the healer or the confidant, empaths, right? We create these imbalanced relationships where we have a heightened sense of responsibility. Like we have to give parental love to people, right? And that's really, actually, there are moments, right? There are moments where that's being called for, where it's like, I can provide a soft spot for this. But if we are always stepping up, we don't give other people the opportunity to do so for themselves. So where are you intervening where divine intervention is probably more appropriate and will probably be received in a more enlightening way, right? Yes, maybe you do have all the answers, right? Maybe you do have the wisdom that's needed here, but maybe it's not being received because the person just needs to go through it. That happens all the time, right? Parents want to protect in that way, and you really just find I can only do so much, and then a human has to go through stuff, right? A human has to go through experiences to learn. So can we trust this process of life? Take charge of the situation is also coming up. So there's a balancing act here. What is in your control? What are the aspects and components that you can control? Generally, they have to do with yourself, accepting your accountability, accepting what it is you need to do to influence the situation, and also trusting you're not acting alone. Trusting that life force is flowing through. You're co-creating this experience with a higher power. How much of that knowledge can you embody and allow to flow through? and accept. Where is the resistance, right? The opposite of acceptance is resistance. Spiritual law of attraction is coming up. So when we're in the process of manifestation, and I have a feeling this is about, and it's because there's a card in the spread coming up, but this is about prosperity, success, impact, okay? There's a question of money and how do I attract more? How do I feel more secure? With the law of attraction, okay, it's not like there's a genie in heaven throwing coins down at us, okay? That's not the system we're working with here. What's happening is there's co-creative forces, right? Where we create some structure with goals and intentions, but we allow room, right? So we take charge of what we have control over, which is our mindset, our goals, what is the target, right? And then we have trust that it's going to be fulfilled. Part of this spiritual law of attraction, okay, is guiding you to situations, lessons, circumstances, so that you can release resistance. Where is that showing up right now? So that you can heal a wound, so that you can gain perspective, so that you can ease up in the tension and the resistance of things, right? Because the law of attraction is the path of least resistance. Right now, you're going down the trajectory of the path of least resistance. Where is that headed? What are some of the signposts here, and what are you seeing manifesting currently? What's actually showing up right now in reality? And what are you in resistance to? And how can you find a way to release some of that, release some of the resistance, and allow yourself to I see. So when we're working on drawing in more prosperity, more love, better relationships, whatever it is, if that's the intention we've set, right, as the target, as the goal, co-creative forces are going to take us on a journey and reveal to us through certain interactions what is getting in the way first, right? What is preventing it? So it's not just like I set an intention to make $1 million and then I get a check. It's a mindfulness game. So what we're going to do is, this is my target, this is my goal. Expect to meet people who trigger worthiness stuff, right? Trigger anything that's getting in the way of that. That is coming first. That's why this is happening for you, okay? So that we can get that out of the way. It's not a straight path. That's the quickest path. But the path of healing isn't a straight line. You know, we know that, right? We know that logically. It's not a straight line. So if we have an intention of, I want to be really prosperous, we might need to work through some worthiness issues. So if that's our intention, we might draw in a relationship where someone rejects us or doesn't see our value. Then it triggers something in us where it's like, you don't see my value, you don't see what I'm worth. Okay, well, guess what? I'm going to go out there and make things happen to teach you a lesson. And then something happens in us and it's like, oh, this wasn't about them at all. This was about me coming into my power, awakening that giant within me, right? That happened for this specific purpose, in part, right? Because it's about them too, for them, right? It happened for their benefit on their end too, but that's on them. They have to figure that out and be mindful about what the reasonings for themselves. So get out of their business and come back to you. Why did this happen for you? What are you seeing right now that you don't like? It's for you. What are you seeing right now that has manifested in 3D reality? A relationship issue, an awareness, a lack maybe, a block of some kind, something you're aware of. Whatever's coming to mind, I know you know. You're tuned in. Can you see how you need to work through this first to get to the end goal? You're on the path. Just because it's not appearing in front of you doesn't mean you're not on the road. There's signposts along the way. And it's like, take care of this first, right? Lay this foundation first. Heal this trauma first, right? Prosperity, flow of prosperity. Can be working with conflict with one or both parents. Mother is about provision on the material plane. Father is about entrepreneurial endeavors, anything where we're going out and making things happen. Relationship to mother is about feeling worthy enough to receive. So we have to both in order, right? Particularly if you're an entrepreneur, both have to kind of be in order here. So you're being taken on the journey. You're going along for the ride. Instead of complaining about the lack, know that this is happening. This is happening. You're going to have to face some things. So that's why we hear, be careful what you wish for. You're going to be taken on the journey here. Are you ready? Saddle up. You're meeting obstacles that you're meant to overcome, right? To gain those inner resources, gain that inner strength, to awaken up to your strength, to remove that block, to awaken your empowerment, right? So nothing is waste here. Nothing is waste. Can you see the connections? See the other person's point of view. That's also coming in. What can you learn from the feedback others are giving you? If you're a healer, if you're a light worker, I'm getting that if you are a light worker, a healer, an intuitive, a psychic, a coach, any kind of helper, right, to help others, record yourself talking. Much like I'm doing right now. Record yourself talking when you're in a meditative state, a trance-like state. It can be in the morning is a great time. During meditation, right, or right after meditating, when you're in this flow of prosperity, record yourself. If you like writing, you can write it down. But it might be smart to just record your voice so you can just speak and not think too much and just allow it to flow. And then have that recording and listen back at some point. Or record yourself in video like you're talking to somebody. It's kind of like I'm doing now. And just witness how brilliant you are. How much you have to offer. Like you're coaching yourself, right? The wisdom is flowing through for you. There's wisdom flowing through. it's fleeting. I struggle to get it all out when I'm doing a reading here. I'm tuning into a collective. I'm tuning into the collective consciousness here, trying to streamline this information for so it's valuable to the most people. So I'm trying to get it all out so that one example might resonate with one person and then this resonates with another. So just trying to get it out so it's digestible and relatable. You are also in this flow for your life. So tuning in, it might be wise to just record that flow so that you can listen back and have medicine, right? What you need in that moment. And it might build your confidence. You might find that you say things and you're like, did I say that? That was an idea that came in through me. And it might start building your confidence. You might start seeing your worth. This came in another reading, but if you work with crystals or if you work with essential oils, tarot cards, oracle, whatever it is, maybe picking one at random and just living in that archetype all day long and just seeing how information comes in, regarding that and recording it somehow, writing it down or recording yourself talking about it, just journaling it. Will not only be useful for you, but you might find it's part of your contribution. And can we get in touch with your contribution here? It might be something that you are able to then repurpose into a course, repurpose into a book. It's part of your voice, your message, your legacy, and your contribution here. Getting in touch with your contribution, what you have to give on a larger scale than just one-on-one interactions, right? Because sometimes when we have this big purpose of serving humanity in some way, we overgive to one or two people. We give it all to these one or two people. Meaning friends or partner, right? Or parent or whoever it is, children. We give it all to these people and it can be too much. It can be too much for them to take it. And then they get irritated about it. And we're like, well, I'm giving you so much value here. What do you mean? Maybe that can be an indication that this information is meant for a larger community. Or like you're a reader and you give friends readings and all of a sudden they're like, I don't resonate with this. No, it doesn't make any sense. And they're not grateful. That might lower your confidence, but it can actually be a sign that, sort of like this door's closing to redirect you. You're not meant to be doing it for just one person. Maybe you're tuning in to a larger audience. I hope that's landing. It's just a lot of information that's coming in and I'm trying not to censor it too much. Just let it flow. Let her rip. Let her fly. Let's see, what archetype? I'm now shuffling the archetype cards by Carolyn Meese to see which archetype, aspect of self, is coming up. Okay. We've already seen this guy, but shapeshifter is coming out. I'm just going to trust. Sometimes I resist repeats, but they usually apply. Shapeshifter, the light attributes, skill at navigating through different levels of consciousness, ability to see the potential in everything. So the light attributes again, skill at navigating through different levels of consciousness, ability to see potential in everything, including yourself, okay? Including yourself. Don't ever leave yourself out. The shadow attribute, projecting any image that serves your personal agenda in the moment, right? Are we able to see reality, accept reality for what it is? Tune in those areas of cognitive dissonance where we really want to see something that's not actually there, right? And it creates a blind spot. Can we ground down and tune in to what's actually showing up? The manifestations all around us. How are they serving our growth? Can we have a growth mindset? Navigating through different levels of consciousness. Maybe you're just more comfortable floating up and above, right? Navigating different levels of consciousness also means this 3D reality, right? Sometimes we get on this spiritual pedestal and think it's much more significant and holy to be aware of the higher planes of existence. But that's out of balance too. If what we want to influence is this 3D reality, we have to be in touch with that too and align however we need to do that. So much like a coach might record a game and coach the players through, you're fine-tuning something here. So you want to observe yourself, whether it be speaking skills, right? Are you in Toastmasters, learning to speak publicly? It's a learning curve and it's challenging at first, but we eventually get used to it, right? We eventually are able to accept ourselves for our flaws. I was just going to say that and I was trying to think and it came to me. I say a lot, and that used to drive me absolutely bonkers. And it's still something I want to refine, but I don't let it stop me, right? I don't need to be perfect. I just got to get the message out. I got to live in my passion, live on purpose, and understand that I will grow and improve. I don't need to be perfect. You can still get the message, and it's actually probably more relatable that I'm not perfect. Can you imagine, like, if I sat here and pretended that, oh, I don't go through anything. I am an ascended being and I'm here to enlighten you about my ways. You'd be like, get out of here. No. So know that your message is going to be better received by people that resonate with you. So part of this is going to be deconstructing some of the habits you've picked up to try to conform and be more of yourself. That's scary. It's more vulnerable to be more of yourself. But you might find that you really like yourself, right? You're really digging yourself. The more you let loose, and the more fun it'll be, and the more relatable it'll be, and it'll be less intimidating for other people to think, because there's this misconception, particularly if you're working in the spiritual community or you have a spiritual business. People have this idea, and they're not all wrong, they're not completely wrong, that people in the spiritual community are airy-fairy and, spiritually bypassing material plane. They might not use that language, but they're just easy breezy. And I know that from working at a spiritual center, I used to get the comment, And this was a cognitive dissonance on their part, because I would be very grounded. The spiritual places I worked, there's a learning curve when you're doing spiritual work for the community, that it's a business. We need to be grounded here. We have to have structure, right? We have to have rules and order. And compassion starts with self. So there's all these learning curves, right? It's not lost on spiritual businesses. So having seen that and lived it firsthand, people have this idea of what a spiritual person looks like, and how a spiritual person wants to be received and perceived. And at that point, I had an experience with a woman who came in and expected to be treated differently because she was wearing a fur coat and she had money, and and I at that point had seen so much and had encountered so many things that I was no longer intimidated by anything. I was so in my power. I wasn't perfect. I'm not trying to say that. I had a lot to learn still, but I was still about rules. I understood like the power of following procedure and rules, and I knew it was important. So, particularly for security at that point, that was on my mind. It was like, and she expected preferential treatment, and I had to be really firm in my boundaries, and just say, no, I can't let you just go right up, right? Sometimes people have this idea that if we're doing spiritual work, we're somehow protected and above the laws of the land. It's not true. We still have to protect ourselves. We still have to be aware of the physical plane, of being taken advantage of being scammed. We have to, we're not treated extra special just because we're doing spiritual work. We still have to ground down. We still have to have boundaries, right? So, but this person had such cognitive dissonance around that when I implemented boundaries, and said, because she expected to just be, oh yeah, go ahead, go right up. Yeah, that's a good idea. No, I was like, I'm sorry, you didn't pay for a ticket. I can't allow you up. You can wait right here. I was kind about it. A little out of practice, sorry. I was kind about it, right? I wasn't like, no. I was aware of myself, and I was sort of like, I'm sorry, I can't let you go up. You're welcome to wait here as the class exits, right? I can't let people up to the second floor who don't have a ticket, who haven't paid for a ticket. And she was like, because I worked in a holistic learning center, sorry. No context, right? Just giving you no context. And so she argued with me for a little bit, tried to put like pressure on me. And I was like, I'm sorry, those are the rules. It's for our security and protection, right? As a business. So, I heard her walk away and she was like, spiritual people, right? And I was thinking, no, actually the opposite. Actually, no, not spiritual people, grounded people with boundaries. But you had this cognitive dissonance that I was being difficult because I was spiritual and somehow unaware. So it's very interesting, right? Why did that come in? Oh, because we're navigating different levels of consciousness here. So that includes the material plane. I'm just going to shuffle here the Gilded Tarot by Ciro Marchetti. I've mispronounced his name in the past in readings, but it's Italian. I should know better. I studied opera. I am Italian. I should have known. Ciro Marchetti. And if that's wrong, I'll be real embarrassed. Let's see what tarot cards want to come out. to see what we're looking at here for more about acceptance and getting back into the flow, honoring what's showing up in 3D reality. How do we take care of that? How do we take charge of the things that we have control over, and then trust what else, right? So as we're being guided here by the servo mechanism of our subconscious, and the universe, as our goals are coming into alignment, where are those areas of resistance that we're being guided to heal? That is how it's happening for us. As we get into flow, as we see ourselves in an empowered way by creating either by writing or recording ourselves and seeing that reflected back to us, and empowering ourselves by refining this skill of how we put our message out there. We're really refining here. Are you a writer? Are you writing something? One more card. I think I'm starting to get the picture. I think I'm starting to get the picture here. One more card. Okay, we got the Eight of Cups here. Eight of Cups, we had to walk away from something.